So today I wanted to share with you a few tips and poses for anyone who's completely new to yoga and what you can expect when you come to your first yoga class. So the instructor will start with a centering or a grounding. So usually we begin in a easy seat, so Sukhasana, or sometimes we can begin on our backs or in a child's pose. So for today I'm starting in an easy seat, rooting the sit bones into the earth, feeling nice equal weight there. Closing the eyes if you feel comfortable, or you can just keep your gaze soft towards the mat in front of you. Relaxing the shoulders down the back away from the ears and beginning to focus on your breath. At this point in your practice, it's also a nice time to set an intention. So it could be something as simple as staying present for the duration of your class, or maybe trying your best working at something, a pose you've been working on, or just allowing yourself to be in the moment. So making sure you've got a nice long spine, beginning to follow the inhales and the exhales, in and out through the nose. So the next pose we're going to look at is Child's Pose. So Child's Pose is a beautiful, really restorative pose that you can use as your base. So throughout your practice, if anything ever feels a little bit too much, you can always come back to this place. It's your safe place. So sits bones are down towards the heels, length through the spine, forehead down towards the earth, or you can always rest your forehead on a block if it's not accessible. Relaxing the head completely and beginning to breathe into the belly here. Stretching the fingertips towards the front of the room and making your spine as long as possible. Following the inhales and the exhales, in and out through the nose. Feeling that belly rising and falling on the thighs and beginning to breathe into the back space of the body a little bit more. So from here, a lot of flow classes will move into a tabletop position and then work with two asanas, two poses called cat-cow. They're really flowing poses, so making sure that your wrists, elbows and shoulders are stacked, knees and hips are stacked. On your next inhale, drop the belly, gaze up towards the sky, open up the chest. Exhale, round the spine, push into the earth, draw the chin to the chest. Inhale, lengthen, drink a breath in. Exhale, round, push the earth away. So we're very much working with bringing space into the spine here. I'm going to pause here for a little bit longer just so you can see the alignment. And then exhaling, rounding the shoulders, pushing the earth away. Next pose is Tadasana, or mountain pose. So you're standing up nice and tall, feet can be together or hip width apart. Making sure that weight is coming down through all four corners of each foot. Hands are usually heart center, or sometimes the instructor will invite you to release your hands down by your side, so you can invite all that good energy in. So long spine, tailbone tucked under, core engaged, crown of the head towards the sky, so you're feeling that upward pull. So you're drawing the energy up through the feet towards the sky. So we're beginning to flow through our sun salutations here. So Surya Namaskar A. So on an inhale, lift the hands up towards the sky and gaze towards the thumb. On an exhale, fold forwards, hinging at the hips. Hands can come to the earth. You can bend your knees if you need to here. Inhale to a flat back. Fingertips can come to the mat, or you can bring your hands to your shins if you need a little bit more lift and support. On an exhale, plant the hands to the mat and step back into a high plank position. So high plank can sometimes be a little bit strong, especially when you're first starting out. So make sure your hips aren't too high or too low. You want to make sure they're in line with the rest of the body. And then exhaling slowly through knees, chest and chin as an alternative to Chaturanga. Inhale to a cobra, so elbows are bent, tucked into the sides, long spine. Exhale. And you can always take a lower cobra if you wish. That's perfectly fine. Tucking the toes on under, pushing into the hands and lifting the sit bones up and back, coming into a downward facing dog. So down dog is a pose that you will come back to again and again within a flow practice. It's a resting pose, so you can bend your knees here if you need to, if you haven't quite got the length in the hamstrings, but you want to intend for those heels to come down onto the earth. So we're going to work with a few standing poses now. So stepping the right foot forwards to the top of the mat, we'll drop the left knee and the left foot onto the earth. Inhale, hands can come to heart center. This is a low lunge, so you're really breathing into the left hip flexor here. Hands heart center, long spine. Nice alternative, maybe when you're a little bit warmed up, is to bring the hands towards the sky. And just breathe into the space. So strong legs, strong foundation. So the next pose we're going to look at is high lunge. So we tuck our back toes on under and lift the left knee up off the earth. So this really engages the core here. Again, hands can be heart center, or you can reach them all the way up towards the sky. Checking that the knee is above the ankle or slightly behind, feeling the length in the spine. Next pose we're going to come into is Warrior One. So the back foot comes down at a 45-degree angle onto your mat, hips are forwards towards the front of the room, and hands come up towards the sky. So hands are about shoulder distance apart and you're lunging into that front leg, working towards a 90-degree angle. Check your alignment once again, that the knee is above the ankle here. I'm going to open up to Warrior Two, so Virabhadrasana 2. The stance is slightly wider than Warrior One. Check that your arms are in line with each other, energy through the fingers towards the front and the back of the room. Check that you can see the right big toe on the inside of that right knee. Then on an exhale, windmill the hands down, step back to blank and come through a vinyasa. So knees, chest and chin. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, releasing, rolling on over the feet, lifting the sit bones up and back, downward facing dog. And then we'll do the other side. So the next set of poses that your instructor might like you to do is a set of standing poses, often balance poses. So I'm going to demonstrate tree. So hands come to heart center and you can bring the left foot to the right leg wherever is accessible. So if you want to keep the toes on the ground, that's perfectly fine. If you're a little bit more practiced, a little bit more balanced, the sole of the left foot can come into the right thigh. You want to avoid that knee area, that's key. And push the thigh into the foot as well as the foot into the thigh. You can play around with arm variations here, perhaps opening up the arms towards the sky, or you can keep them nice and simple. Heart center is totally up to you. And then you just come out the same way you came in. And then take it to the other side. Might find that one side is easier than the other. You might find that there's a bit of a wobble, but that's perfectly normal. Then we'll move into seated poses. So jumping forwards maybe into a seated position. First one we'll take is a seated forward fold. So you can use a belt here or a strap if you want to. Move the flesh away from the sit bone just so you can sit up nice and tall and keep a nice long spine. So the long spine is key here. That is what we are looking for. So if you've got a belt, especially if you're a beginner, this is really useful just to bring a belt around the feet and grab hold of either side with the hands. Keeping the long spine, gaze forwards, slowly bring yourself down into the pose. So you might want to stay here. That's perfectly fine. Just keeping that chest open, heart open. You might find with breath and with time, you can slowly creep those fingertips a little bit forwards. Just remember to keep hold of the strap on either side. Don't have the strap in one hand because that can cause imbalances. So nice and level. And working with the breath. You can always grab hold of the toes if you're a little bit more flexible, or maybe bring the hands to the shins or the ankles. When you're ready to come out, slowly beginning to stack the spine one vertebrae at a time. Throughout this pose, keep the feet active so the toes are pointing towards the sky. So we're coming to a seated spinal twist. So bringing the left foot in towards the sit bones, bring the right foot over the knee. If this isn't comfortable at all, you can always keep that left foot and leg straight out in front of you. On an inhale, lift the left hand up towards the sky and bring the right hand behind. Bring the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh and gaze out over the right shoulder. So you want to keep the hands active here, core engaged, initiating the twist from the navel. When you're ready, come back through center and we'll take it to the opposite side. So this time the left leg comes over the right. Again, you can bring that right leg out in front of you if you want to. Inhale, bring the right hand towards the sky, and then exhale, bring that right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Gaze out and over the left shoulder. Slowly on an inhale, come back round through center. So move on to our backs now, so slowly lowering yourself down. You can use helping hands here if you need to. I'm going to show you a supine pose which I really love called Supta Baddha Kanatana, so supine cobbler pose. So we'll bring our feet together and bring the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to fall to either side and bring the hands to your belly here. So this is a really beautiful pose just to breathe into, to allow the body to settle onto the earth. So spine's nice and long, chin's tucked under slightly, so the back of the neck is nice and long on the mat. You're lengthening through the tailbone so that low back comes down onto the earth as well. And just breathe here, listening to the breath moving in and out of the body. From here, bringing the knees into center and then bringing the knees to the chest. Bring your knees to your armpits and send the feet up towards the sky. Coming into happy baby pose, so you can grab for either foot with the hands. Feet are active, feet flat towards the sky. And this is a really nice restorative pose. I like to do it in the end of my beginners classes because it's really quite accessible for everyone. If you can't quite catch your feet, you can always catch hold of the shins, the backs of the calves. And again, breathe here. You can stay in stillness or rock slowly side to side. So our final asana of the day is always going to be Savasana or corpse pose. So feet and legs fall out to either side, just allow them to be completely relaxed. Hands and arms fall out to either side and hands turn up towards the sky to absorb all the good things that you've done in your practice. So you're welcoming that good positive energy in. Allowing the body to be heavy and allowing the mind to still. So especially when you're a beginner, you might find that stillness is quite hard because the mind tends to race. So what I like to do is either focus on your breath, the inhales and the exhales moving in and out the body, just a nice natural breath. Or if your instructor plays music, then you can always just listen to the music and allow that music to take you deeper into the pose. Allowing everything to be totally relaxed and letting go. This is your time to be still, your time to be you, and your time to absorb all that good energy. So when we're ready to come out, we'll wiggle our fingertips and our toes, stretch our hands up above the crown of the head, bring the knees into the chest and slowly roll over to the right hand side. We roll over to the right hand side because the heart is on the left side of the chest and it just takes out any stress, any strain. Keeping the eyes closed, you'll be invited to slowly make your way up into an easy seat, so Sukhasana. And bring your hands once again to your knees. So we end as we began with the centering. Hands can come to heart center, often there's an Om or a chant. And just thank yourself for your practice. Thank each other if you're in a class for your practice. And just have a moment to be grateful for everything that your body's done today. Thanks for watching, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and I'll be back next week with a brand new video.